It's time for another episode of Make It Make Sense. And I've got a football card giveaway on top of it. Let's data dive. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Data Dive, powered by Market Movers. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot, and this week I'm back for another video of Make It Make Sense, comparing football player prices from today's NFL to those of some of the greatest of all time. And I have a giveaway this week. Our friends at Topps sent us a box of Bowman's Best University. These boxes retail at around $130, and I'm going to be giving one away to a lucky viewer completely for free. So in order to win, here's what I want you to do. You must be subscribed to the channel, like the video, and then I want you to comment down below letting me know which retired NFL player you believe is most undervalued and which current NFL player is most overvalued. I'll select a winner at random and I'll announce the winner in next week's video. And as always, this video is brought to you by Market Movers with loads of football cards from all eras. Visit marketmoversapp.com and use promo code DIVE to get your first 7 days free, plus save 20% off of your first payment. Now let's get into the data. All right, so I'm gonna work systematically through the different positions in football, just going through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and then we'll look at some defensive players quickly as well. So let's start with quarterbacks. You've seen me do this in the past, and what I'm doing here is I'm comparing the prices of some cards that have sold relatively recently, within the last year or so, and some of the prices, they should all be within the same ballpark. These are rarer cards, so I had to kind of go back a full year on some of the cases to see some of these that sold, and you're looking at this, you're like, I can't even tell what that is, what these prices are here. Well, let's scroll down, and I just wanted to show something for context. Obviously, last week I was talking about the different quarterbacks in the NFL, who might have upside, comparing the prices. Well, here's Joe Burrow's National Treasures rookie patch auto numbered to 99. This is not a game-worn patch. This is in a PSA 10. Okay, Pop 8, granted, but numbered to 99. We know that today you have National Treasures, you have Flawless, you have Immaculate, you have Impeccable, you have 1-in-1, you have all these products. And the National Treasures is obviously still very sought after. This card sold back in December, which is, 6 months ago or so, $145,000. $145,000 for this Joe Burrow. The Justin Herbert sold 2 days prior to that for $84,000. Now, as an aside, it's really interesting looking at these two because last week we were comparing how Burrow and Herbert have similar prices on many of their cards, or Herbert even selling for more than Burrow on certain cards. This is kind of showing you again how the logic in the market doesn't make a ton of sense. And then we come down from $84,000 to $18,000 for this Drew Brees 2001 Contenders Rookie Ticket Auto PSA 10, Pop 34 total, but this was an Auto 10. This was a PSA 10 Auto 10, which I believe is somewhere around Pop 5. And Jeff actually bought this card, this exact one for $18,000. He and I were talking about it on this week's episode on the Jeff Wilson Show, which is the podcast over on his personal channel. And he mentioned that he bought this card and was talking about some of his strategy around what he's going after. This is Drew Brees' best rookie card. This is the best rookie card you can buy for Drew Brees. Obviously, we know the story about how Tom Brady's Contenders auto goes for an insane amount of money. Well, here's Drew Brees at $18,000 with Justin Herbert, with a million other autos to choose from, and a card numbered to 99, selling for $84,000. Then we scroll down, you've got Trevor Lawrence NT at $12,000 in a PSA 9, Justin Fields at $9,000 in a BGS 9, and Daniel Jones at $2,000 in a BGS 9.5. There's just a lot to unpack in here, especially if you go down to lower levels of these cards, like the Prism Silvers like we did last week, and compare those prices. For example, you had Trevor Lawrence not too far off of where Herbert and Burrow were for those cards, and yet look at the premium that people are paying for these. I think there's a lot to think about in this with the high-end market and where people are putting their money. And frankly, these prices are just absolutely insane based on the fact that these guys haven't done anything. If you think that Justin Herbert is going to live up to what Drew Brees did, obviously both having been drafted by the Chargers, but Brees with most of his career with the Saints, where's this card going to go from here? With all the other cards competing in it, I don't think it has anywhere to go but down personally. I think this Drew Brees card has a lot of potential to go up over time, even potentially significantly as people become more aware of this. I'd take that Drew Brees plus another, $60,000 worth of, $65,000 worth of cards before I would take this Justin Herbert. So let's jump over and look at one more comparison. And this time I'm still looking at Daniel Jones, and then I'm looking at Eli Manning. Eli Manning, one of the best quarterbacks that the Giants have ever had. I think a little overrated. Obviously, he won the 2 Super Bowls against Brady, and that's really what has cemented his legacy. In my opinion, he was like a slightly above average quarterback for most of his career, but he was a good quarterback, at times a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. And you have this card, his PSA 9 Topps Chrome Refractor Black, numbered to 100, which was the lowest serial numbered card in that 2004 Topps Chrome set. There was nothing lower than that. In a PSA 9, Pop 19, selling for $1,530. And you have Daniel Jones Prism Gold, number to 10, I get it. It's the true gold in a PSA 9, selling for $1,410 most recently, but the high sale in the last year, the same exact price, $1,530. And again, Daniel Jones has a gold. I think he has a gold shimmer or a no huddle gold, and he has all these other products. Back in 2004, Eli Manning didn't have a ton of cards. This is one of the more sought after rookie cards for a guy like Eli Manning, and these cards are selling for the same exact price. What do you think about that? Let's shift over to running backs, and I'm gonna jump into some stat comparisons. Remember C2K, Chris Johnson, the absolute electric phenom for the Titans? Chris Johnson, I'm comparing to Christian McCaffrey. These are 2 dual threat guys. McCaffrey gets a little bit more play, or quite a bit more out receiving the ball. Johnson would get the ball back then like that. But the league has evolved a lot, and they're throwing dump downs and out into the flats a lot more to the running backs. But if we look at the statistics, I'm looking at McCaffrey here, and I'm looking at McCaffrey in his first 6 seasons. And then I'm looking at Chris Johnson in his first 6 seasons. And the number of games is different because McCaffrey missed time with injury. But overall, if we look at the averages, you've got Chris Johnson at 84 yards a game rushing, 21 yards a game receiving, 0.5 rushing touchdowns, and you've got McCaffrey here at 63 rushing, 50 receiving, similar rushing touchdowns. The story is very similar here. I can even jump over and look at their best seasons. So each of their respective best seasons. I think this was Chris Johnson's second year in the league and Christian McCaffrey's 3rd year in the league. And if we look at that here, you can see rushing yards, 2,006 rushing yards, 500 receiving yards. That was that incredible 2,500 yard total all-purpose yard season by Chris Johnson. Then you've got 1,387 yards and 1,005 receiving yards for McCaffrey. Even if you say, hey, I think McCaffrey is better than Chris Johnson, this isn't a great comparison. Let's jump over and look at the prices here. And you can see, here's Christian McCaffrey's Prism Silver and his Optic Hollow, and where these cards were during the height back in the day, $819, $747, obviously having come down, down, down. And now most recently, you've got McCaffrey with his Prism Silver PSA 10, pop 1,142 with all the other parallels too from Prism, and his Optic Hollow, pop 192, both hovering around $90 to $100. Chris Johnson's Topps Chrome Refractor, pop 63 in a PSA 10, $30. $30. And look at the high point when we go back for all sales. This is going all sales. $870, like I said, $814 for the hollow, and then $44 is the high sale for that Chris Johnson refractor. This stuff is what makes me really nervous about running backs and positional players, and why I like to buy guys like Chris Johnson, who I remember fondly from years back after their prices have settled down, before I put money into somebody like Christian McCaffrey and just watch my net worth and my family's well-being decline over time. So if I jump over here, I can see this Chris Johnson card was the most expensive Chris Johnson sale that I could find. This is his 2009 Upper Deck black quad jersey auto. This sold on Golden for $840. This is a one of one, $840. And we saw that those cards for McCaffrey a few years ago were selling for those prices, way back when. So a big difference for these guys. And if I go to price movements, I can see here, this is the last 365 days for the cards that we have in Market Movers for McCaffrey, and you can see how many cards sold for more than that. You've got a $2,500 sale for the PSA 10 White Sparkle of McCaffrey. Obviously that's low pop. But you're talking about a big price difference, and the total amount of money injected into Christian McCaffrey cards right now compared to a player like Chris Johnson is multiples, many, many, many multiples. So again, if people start to lose interest in McCaffrey, if, you know, in a year or 2 or 5 years, he just sort of falls off, people are going to be looking for the next running back, the next wide receiver, the next person, and McCaffrey's prices probably will be going down significantly. Now, let's jump over and look at one more comparison. I'm shifting gears here, and I've got Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, and Josh Jacobs. One of these guys, obviously, in my opinion, cemented as I have maybe top 5, top 8 running back of all time. Adrian Peterson, the most electric running back, you know, overall, the most complete running back that I've seen play since Barry Sanders. And he was an absolute beast and terror. Here's his red refractor, numbered to 139. Again, remember Topps Chrome from the 2000s, not a lot of different refractors, not the super low numbered stuff. So you've got its red refractor numbered to 139, Pop 16, sold for $1,000 on April 30th, a little over 1,000. Whereas Derrick Henry's PSA 9 Prism Red super short print in a PSA 9 sold for 1.3K. Now Derrick Henry's obviously been a beast over the last few years. He's had some really incredible seasons. He's a total workhorse, but he's not Adrian Peterson. And then Josh Jacobs here, who had an awesome season last year. I'm a big fan of Josh Jacobs. I love watching him play. He's really complete as well. His Prism Gold in a PSA 10 sold for $1,000. So if you're looking at these cards and you're projecting out, which one of these cards would you rather have? If you've got, let's say you have $1,300 to spend, which one of these cards would you be going for? For me, I'd rather go for the Adrian Peterson because he's got that cemented legacy before I would go for these other guys. Maybe I'm wrong, and you let me know down in the comments. Let's switch over to wide receivers. And let's start out with one of my favorite comparisons. I've done a similar one in the past, but I gotta go back to Megatron. I gotta go back to Calvin Johnson. And what I'm looking at here are some of the notable autos and other big cards for a handful of guys. I'm gonna sort this here by price. And you can see the Tyreek Hill, not a rookie card. Tyreek Hill, Kaboom, Green, which are obviously highly sought after. These are the one-of-ones, the green one-of-one Kabooms. Raw, sold for 9.2K at the beginning of March. 9.2K for that Tyreek Hill. This Calvin Johnson is the most expensive Calvin Johnson sale that I could find from the last 2 years at $4,000, 4.2K. This is his Bowman Chrome Auto Gold Refractor, serial numbered to 15 in a PSA 10. This is a ghost card. This is an impossible card to find, and it sold for 4K. Justin Jefferson's Prism Gold Auto to 10 sold for 6.2K. Jamar Chase's National Treasures PSA 10, numbered to 99, sold for 7.5K. So you look at all of these, and you've got these, some of the most obviously talented, probably the top three of the top 5 most talented wide receivers in the NFL right now. And Calvin Johnson, who's one of the greatest of all time ever to play football, at $4,000 for the most expensive card that I could find. Go back to the Drew Brees example. You could have this Calvin Johnson card, the Drew Brees Auto, both of those cards for $22,000, or you could, have these 3 cards basically. You make a decision about that. Again, these things really make me scratch my head. I know there's a lot of enthusiasm around these players now, but I feel like there's a lot of historical context missing when people are doing that. Here's another fun comparison. Teammates, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So a little bit newer player. Obviously Tyler Lockett, coming into his own later in his career. But since DK Metcalf has been in the league, so I'm looking at 2019 to 2022, look at the stats for these guys. This is actually pretty remarkable. 35 touchdowns for each of them in that time frame. 4,300 yards for Lockett, 4,200 yards for DK Metcalf. Essentially identical stats, very similar receptions. It's almost like if you have one of these guys on your fantasy team, one week one of them blows up, the next week another one of them blows up. But if we jump over and we look at their prices, it's significantly different. Obviously, again, I'm going way back in time. You see these high water marks. The last time I did a video like this about football, I was comparing DK and a few other guys to Calvin Johnson and a few other players like Larry Fitzgerald. This Metcalf, I was screaming about how this card made no sense selling for 1.6K a few years ago. 1.6K for his Prism Silver PSA 10. That card is now $156. So for anybody who was watching back then, who was saying DK, 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 hopefully having this context, not because you want to listen to me, but just thinking about it and having context might have made you pause and go, I don't know about this guy. I said back then, if anything happens to Russell Wilson or their quarterback situation, could have him fall off. That ended up happening, and then Russell Wilson leaves. Geno replaced him. Anyway, you've got Tyler Lockett here at a fraction of that. He's down with a high sale during this time period of $230. Now $108 on his Prism Silver versus $156 for DK. $74 on the Optic Hollow for DK versus $28 for Tyler Lockett's Topps Chrome Refractor. And those are the comparisons that I like to make in an ideal scenario, is comparing the Topps Chrome Refractors to the Optic Hollows and Prism Silvers to each other during these time frames. You can see DK still going for a significant premium over Tyler Lockett. I'm not saying buy Tyler Lockett, but I probably would be selling DK Metcalf. All right, two more final comparisons. We've got some defensive players. Can't leave the defense out. I love defensive players. And I'm going over and I'm looking at arguably the most terrifying edge rusher in the NFL right now, Nick Bosa, against some of the all-time greats, all-time great edge rushers. And I've got Julius Peppers, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Terrell Suggs, and Jared Allen, and I'm comparing their cards to Nick Bosa's Prism Silver PSA 10. Bosa at $171. This is really interesting for me with Julius Peppers because I'm not quite sure why there's so much of a premium, unless this is just because North Carolina fans, maybe are a huge fan of Peppers and are paying the premium for his card because they don't have a lot of NFL players to celebrate. But he's up at $564 for his PSA 10 Pop 32 Topps Chrome. And this is, I believe, a refractor, even though it doesn't say refractor. I think just those base rookies were refractors. And then you've got Von Miller. This is his Topps Chrome Refractor rookie card from 2011, $163. DeMarcus Ware, $153. Terrell Suggs, $125 for his Topps Pristine rookie refractor, numbered to $499, but it's a Pop 10 in a PSA 10. And Jared Allen, my guy, Jared Allen, who played with the Chiefs, who played with the Vikings, who was an absolute terror, $31 for his Bowman First Edition PSA 9 Pop 3. Jared Allen just doesn't have a lot of graded cards, and they don't really ever sell. I keep an eye out for them because I'd like to buy some. If you have some, let me know. I'd be willing to make a deal. But look at these prices. Outside of Peppers, you've got Bosa at $171, and then you've got Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and Terrell Suggs, all more affordable on those cards, and lower pop counts for the most part. You could still see this go up, maybe not from 2019 by now, but again, a lot more cards for Bosa in circulation, a lot more rookie cards too than these other three guys. I'd be chasing down these cards before I'd be chasing down Nick Bosa. And last but not least, this is a really fun one. Again, teammates. I like to make the teammate comparison, and I think it's pretty relevant. And here we have Darrelle Revis and Sauce Gardner. Now, there's not enough Prism stuff out, and Optic Football is on its way. It's coming soon, I believe. So you've got Darrelle Revis, his PSA 10 Topps Chrome Refractor, Pop 30, $113. And a Sauce Gardner 2022 Mosaic Genesis. They say they're super short printed. I'm not so sure. I think they might be around 100 by this point for the newer products or more. $125 raw. So a raw Genesis of Sauce Gardner sells for more than the iconic PSA 10 Topps Chrome Refractor, very low population Pop 30 Revis Island. That's it. So many comparisons, so many things to consider. Now, if you're super into the modern players and in the modern day, go after them. Buy them if that's what you like. But I think be very realistic. Be very realistic about the price trajectory and possibilities for those players because, again, as they become less relevant in the league, people are going to start not paying attention to them. And the only thing you can hope for at that point is that people come back around to those players. And in my opinion, we haven't quite done that with some of the all-time greats from the past. So I'm looking into those 2000s type players who I think people have forgotten about. There's not a lot of pop of those players, and looking to pick those cards up. And I'm letting everybody else put all their money into the newer guys. So friends, do me a favor and help support this channel and sign up for Market Movers using code DIVE to get 7 days free and save 20% off of your first payment. And again, if you want to get entered into the drawing for this box, Bowman's Best University Football, leave a comment down below with the most undervalued retired NFL player in your opinion and the most overvalued current NFL player. And a big thanks to our friends at Topps for this box. and happy to be passing it along to one of you. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy investing, keep on collecting, and make sure to have fun.